Water Faucet, an innovative blockchain faucet dedicated to revolutionizing water management in communities, especially in northeastern Kenya. By leveraging blockchain technology, Actuate Water ensures fair access to clean and reliable water sources. This initiative not only empowers economic prosperity and educational advancement, but also contributes to reduced crime rates. Our project incorporates a 3-day creative training program for community development workers. These workers will educate households about transformative change, what we call metanoia. This process involves envisioning the future they desire, understanding their current conditions, and mapping out how to achieve that future. Within the Actuate Water Faucet, we offer an innovative 8-week learning program. This hybrid program combines online and physical meetings, catering to diverse learning preferences and schedules. Participants actively engage in these sessions and earn tokens as incentives for their contributions. These tokens serve a dual purpose. They not only reward individual participation but also empower community development workers. With these tokens, workers can train households within their communities, amplifying the program's impact far beyond the immediate participants. This creates a cycle of empowerment and knowledge sharing, enhancing community resilience and well-being. Our solution facilitates economic activities like agriculture and small-scale businesses. It also alleviates the burden on children, particularly girls, who often miss school to fetch water from distant sources. Through Actuate Water's faucet, communities unlock their economic potential, promote sustainable growth, and foster a brighter future for all. Join us in transforming lives with Actuate Water. Together, we can build a sustainable and prosperous future. Welcome to Actuate Water Faucet, an innovative blockchain faucet dedicated to revolutionizing water management in communities, especially in northeastern Kenya. By leveraging blockchain technology, Actuate Water ensures fair access to clean and reliable water sources. This initiative not only empowers economic prosperity and educational advancement, but also contributes to reduced crime rates. Our project incorporates a 3-day creative training program for community development workers. These workers will educate households about transformative change, what we call metanoia. This process involves envisioning the future they desire, understanding their current conditions, and mapping out how to achieve that future. Within the Actuate Water Faucet, we offer an innovative 8-week learning program. This hybrid program combines online and physical meetings, catering to diverse learning preferences and schedules. Participants actively engage in these sessions and earn tokens as incentives for their contributions. These tokens serve a dual purpose. They not only reward individual participation but also empower community development workers. With these tokens, workers can train households within their communities, amplifying the program's impact far beyond the immediate participants. This creates a cycle of empowerment and knowledge sharing, enhancing community resilience and well-being. Our solution facilitates economic activities like agriculture and small-scale businesses. It also alleviates the burden on children, particularly girls, who often miss school to fetch water from distant sources. Through Actuate Water's faucet, communities unlock their economic potential, promote sustainable growth, and foster a brighter future for all. Join us in transforming lives with Actuate Water. Together, we can build a sustainable and prosperous future. Welcome to Actuate Water Faucet, an innovative blockchain faucet dedicated to revolutionizing water management in communities, especially in northeastern Kenya. By leveraging blockchain technology, Actuate Water ensures fair access to clean and reliable water sources. This initiative not only empowers economic prosperity and educational advancement, but also contributes to reduced crime rates. Our project incorporates a 3-day creative training program for community development workers. These workers will educate households about transformative change, what we call metanoia. This process involves envisioning the future they desire, understanding their current conditions, and mapping out how to achieve that future. Within the Actuate Water Faucet, we offer an innovative 8-week learning program. This hybrid program combines online and physical meetings, catering to diverse learning preferences and schedules. Participants actively engage in these sessions and earn tokens as incentives for their contributions. These tokens serve a dual purpose. They not only reward individual participation but also empower community development workers. With these tokens, workers can train households within their communities, amplifying the program's impact far beyond the immediate participants. This creates a cycle of empowerment and knowledge sharing, enhancing community resilience and well-being. Our solution facilitates economic activities like agriculture and small-scale businesses. It also alleviates the burden on children, particularly girls, who often miss school to fetch water from distant sources. Through Actuate Water's faucet, communities unlock their economic potential, promote sustainable growth, and foster a brighter future for all. Join us in transforming lives with Actuate Water. Together, we can build a sustainable and prosperous future. Welcome to Actuate Water Faucet, an innovative blockchain faucet dedicated to revolutionizing water management in communities, especially in northeastern Kenya. By leveraging blockchain technology, Actuate Water ensures fair access to clean and reliable water sources. This initiative not only empowers economic prosperity and educational advancement, but also contributes to reduced crime rates. Our project incorporates a 3-day creative training program for community development workers. These workers will educate households about transformative change, what we call metanoia. This process involves envisioning the future they desire, understanding their current conditions, and mapping out how to achieve that future. Within the Actuate Water Faucet, we offer an innovative 8-week learning program. This hybrid program combines online and physical meetings, catering to diverse learning preferences and schedules. Participants actively engage in these sessions and earn tokens as incentives for their contributions. These tokens serve a dual purpose. They not only reward individual participation but also empower community development workers. With these tokens, workers can train households within their communities, amplifying the program's impact far beyond the immediate participants. This creates a cycle of empowerment and knowledge sharing, enhancing community resilience and well-being. Our solution facilitates economic activities like agriculture and small-scale businesses. It also alleviates the burden on children, particularly girls, who often miss school to fetch water from distant sources. Through Actuate Water's faucet, communities unlock their economic potential, promote sustainable growth, and foster a brighter future for all. Join us in transforming lives with Actuate Water. Together, we can build a sustainable and prosperous future. Welcome to Actuate Water Faucet, an innovative blockchain faucet dedicated to revolutionize.
Okay, thank you very much, Frida, for that video. And I think we are on top of the hour, and I hope everyone can hear me. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 5th session in the Actuate Water series. Today, we are going to explore a topic that is crucial to both environmental sustainability and agricultural productivity. That is the impact of water on animal health. As we all know, water is the essence of life. It's a resource that not only sustains us, but is also vital for the well-being of the animals who rely on for food, labor, and companionship. Whether we are talking about livestock in the arid regions or wildlife in diverse ecosystems, access to clean, safe water is essential for their health and survival. In this session, We're going to dive into how water affects nutrition and growth, the role of water in the digestion and nutrient absorption in animals, disease prevention, that is the link between water quality and the spread of waterborne diseases that can devastate animal populations, and then productivity. This is how adequate water supply influences livestock productivity, which in turn impacts food security and livestock. We're also going to discuss the broader environmental implications and how our work in water management can create healthier ecosystems for animals. And as we look at the challenges in regions like northeastern Kenya, where water scarcity is a pressing issue, we'll explore potential solutions, including how blockchain technology can help to improve water access and quality. And lastly, your insights and experiences are incredibly valuable in this discussion. Let's work together to uncover innovative approaches that can make a tangible difference for both animals and the communities that depend on them. So I'm excited to get started and hear your thoughts on this important topic. But first, I'm going to introduce your topic master, who is Dennis. So Dennis, you're welcome for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are all of good health. My name is Dennis Odori, as Barbara has mentioned. And once again, I'm very humbled to have a session with you this evening. Today, we are handling impact of water on animal health. Last time we did impact of water on human health, and the two topics are greatly related. We had a very successful session last time. Daktari was very explained intensively and extensively a lot of content about the impact of water on human health. And today, as we engage in this topic, I want to request all of us to reflect on the content that Daktari shared with us about the impact of water on human health, because they really go hand in hand with what we are going to discuss today. So, as we saw from our last session, water is very fundamental to to animal health, affecting everything from basic survival to optimum growth. It affects reproduction health and disease resistance, amongst other things. Today, I will measure on at least 6 major points on the impact of water on animal health. I will talk about the impact of water on the physiological functions in animals. I'll talk about dehydration and health risks. I'll also talk about the impact of water on metabolic functions in animals. I'll also talk about the impact of quality water and contamination. Also mention something small on growth and reproductive health. And finally, I'll end this session with the behavioral impact of water on animal health. To my first point, the physiological function. The impact of water on physiological functions in animals. In physiological functions, we are looking at cellular functions, we're looking at temperature regulation, digestion, and circulatory system. Those are the things that we're talking about when we're looking at physiological functions. On cellular functions, water is vital for maintaining cellular functions like nutrition transport, waste removal, and enzyme activities. Water also helps in thermoregulation by enabling sweating, panting, and other cooling mechanisms, thus preventing overheating. Last time Doc told us what happens to our body when we overheat. It behaves like a boiled egg. So water plays that role in temperature regulation in animals. Water is necessary for proper digestion and absorption of nutrients. It greatly helps in breakdown of food and its smooth passage through the digestive system. Water, together with mucus, act as a lubricant in the digestive system. In circulatory system, water is a major component of blood, which carries oxygen, nutrients, and hormones to the cells. It also carries and removes waste products from the cells, like the carbon dioxide and other waste products. Two, let's look at the impact of water on the metabolic function in animals. Here we talk about the electrolyte balance and detoxification. Water is crucial for maintaining the electrolyte balance, which is essential for muscle function, nerve transmissions, and overall metabolic stability. Doc also elaborated this quite well in our last session, how the role that water plays in the metabolic activities in our bodies. So I will not measure into it. On its detoxification, water aids in detoxifying the body by flushing out toxins through urine and also through sweat. Number three, we talk about dehydration and animal health risk. What are the effects when animals don't get enough water, or when they do not access sufficient water regularly, thus causing dehydration to them? The dehydration causes health issues such as kidney stones, kidney failures, electrolyte imbalances, and also causes reduced blood volume, which lead to shock or even death. Water also, or lack of water in this case, that's the dehydration, also has also shown to greatly reduce the feed intake in animals. And when that happens, of course, animals they eat less, which leads to weight loss, which also will lead to malnutrition, and it can lead to impaired growth or impaired production, such as reduced milk in our dairy animals, and also reduced yields in production. Maybe if it's wool from the sheep, we'll find the quality will not be of standard, or it will be of poor quality. Dehydration also weakens the immune system, thus making the animals more vulnerable to infections and diseases. Number four, the impact of water on growth and reproductive health of animals. Water is essential for growth, particularly in young animals, as it supports the growth of cells. It also supports tissue repairs and overall development of the animals. Adequate water intake is necessary for reproductive health in animals, and it greatly affects fertility, pregnancy, and post-pregnant life, that is during lactation, When the animals are well hydrated, they tend to have a lot of milk, and they can feed their young ones. And also, if they are domesticated animals, we will be able to get correct yields of milk. Number 5, impact of water quality and contamination. Impact of water quality and contamination. Contamination, here we want to look at cases where animals are exposed to either water of low quality or contaminated or polluted water. They're saying poor quality water containing pathogens, chemicals, or heavy metals can lead to various health issues, including gastrointestinal diseases, reproductive complications, and long-term toxicity. Pesticides and pollutants that can get their way into rivers or water sources, which eventually our animals get exposed to. They pose a poisoning danger to the animals, which can lead to organ failure or even death. Most of that is just self-explanatory, so I'll not shed a lot of light onto that. And finally, let me talk about the behavioral impact. Stress and anxiety in animals, dehydration or lack of water can lead to stress and anxiety in animals, affecting their behavior and welfare. When animals lack a lot of, when animals are dehydrated or they are deprived of water, they can be aggressive towards other animals or towards human beings who are taking care of them, and making it very difficult for them to be domesticated because of the violence. Performance also, especially for animals that are domesticated for purposes of work, like the donkeys, the camels. Animals that are dehydrated will not perform to their maximum because of reduced stamina and endurance. I think that's all that I'd prepared for today about the impact of water on animal health. Thank you very much. Back to you, Barbara.
Okay, thank you very much, Dennis, for that wonderful presentation, and we really appreciate you taking your time to take us through the impact of water on animal health. So thank you very much. And now I want to invite our CEO, Dr. Macharia, to give us any additional comments as we type our questions and any other comments in the chat box. So Dr. Ri, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Yeah, you can all hear me? It's confirmed, Barbara. Can you hear me? Yeah.
We
Barbara,
can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and thank you so much, Dennis Odori. Yeah, for reminding us again the importance of water. Now to animals. Animals are exactly like humans because their physiology is the same as humans, except they don't they are not humans. You see, they don't create things like humans, but they need water to survive, and they need food, water and food. But you know what's amazing about water? Is that no matter what you do, water has to be present for that thing to happen. It is as if it's this water, which I think in Matthew, the book of Matthew, they call it living water, because water is life. Water has to step in, no matter what you do. Whether you're a human being, you cannot do anything. You can accomplish absolutely nothing without water. So in other words, we are nothing without water. First of all, our own human bodies are 60 to 70% water. And of course, even the bones have got water inside them. You can't believe it. Bones are so hard, it's dry like a cake. But if you press the bone hard enough, some juices that will come out. That's why people enjoy chicken bones, you know, because they love to chew them, because they make chicken soup. So why is that water so important? Because water is this universal solvent. Universal means that it is there in everything. Solvent is used for transporting things. I would say water is like a transport. It's like this vehicle you need for carrying your things. So for the entire ecosystem, whether it's outside ecosystem or inside the ecosystem. Last week we said the inside ecosystem is known as internal milieu, the milieu intérieur, you know, by the French people. That inside ecosystem. That inside ecosystem cannot do any work. Rather, it stops working. That means you die if you do not have water. So are the animals. And water helps to balance the inside environment. So the internal environment is balanced by water. That means to balance your own temperature, as Dennis has told us, to balance your volume of circulating volume. If you don't balance it, you're going to shock. Shock is, this is like, shock means absence of volume. Like you're not having any volume. And that's called shock in English. So there's nothing complicated about shock, is absence of volume. And what's volume? Volume is water, occupying volume. And then everything collapses. And water transports oxygen. See that, for example, when you breathe in, that oxygen molecule, even to absorb it in the lungs, the lung has to be wet. You know, those alveoli cells in the lungs, they cannot absorb oxygen if they are dry, like a cake. If they're dry like a cake, then the oxygen is not going to get into your bloodstream. It's called the bloodstream itself. It's a stream of what? Fluid, which is what? All water except the cells, the red blood cells, white blood cells, all those things are swimming in water, which contains a lot of other things, proteins, which are called serum. The serum itself in blood contains proteins like antibodies. Antibodies are these little soldiers that fight for you when you get attacked by some external thing like bacteria or virus. Now imagine those little soldiers, they need water to swim around. They're like small fishes, very, very tiny, microscopic, tiny types of fish, which are swimming around the whole body in water. Now, what happens if you become desiccated? Those things cannot swim around. It means that bacteria can be eating upon you any which way they want. So you become feasted upon by bacteria and viruses. Those not just you, but even a cow will suffer the same thing. That's what you're talking about, water enabling even the immune system, because those tiny little things called antibodies cannot move without water. And it's not just antibodies, it's a whole defense system. It's like the military, which is internal. There's one, the police force, which fights against the internal ones, and then there's the military, the army, which fights against the foreign things, intruders. Some of those are tiny, just little proteins. Some are just like fragments of amino acids, but eventually they are composed into small proteins. Others, combinations of proteins with some sugars. Yeah, some sugar molecules, and then they get combined to create some larger molecules. And then others are whole cells, like what you call the white blood cells. Even those white blood cells cannot go anywhere if there's no fluid to swim through. See? So that is what happens. So in the immune system, if you get an injury, just an injury, like somebody knocked you, or even you knock a cow, you knock a cow with a big stick. A lot of water comes in a process called inflammation. A lot of fluid is exudated. That's what's called causes swelling. So that swelling is a reaction to injury. So that reaction to injury cannot happen without water. Why does the body do that? First of all, it causes that swelling means that the swelling that happens when you get injured brings with it a whole set of immune cells. Okay, immune cells and immune proteins, those antibodies, so that they can start defending you from the injury that occurred. Now, if you don't have water to do that, you are dehydrated. That does not happen. So you can see water is like the primary defense system. I mean, it's I think the substrate for defense. I mean, let's say the solvent for defense. So it helps you to balance your internal so that your cells don't get cooked, like what we talked about last week. It also prevents them from getting attacked. It also by the external thing, foreign objects, or even internal attacks that could be happening when there's disruption. So then all that water, the issue of water affects not only the organism itself, say like a cow, like a cat, just physiologically, and of course what Dennis has told us, metabolically. Metabolism is breaking down and building up of, say, breaking down of food to produce energy. That's what called metabolism. So to metabolize, you have to break down whatever you eat. Because if you eat a big block of ugali, then you need that ugali converted into energy. But ugali itself is not going to be energy. Ugali is not what is energy, because energy is like spirit. Like, what is energy? Nobody has ever seen it, but it makes you move. So in order to extract energy from a block of ugali or any kind of food, you need water. Okay, because it has to go through the process of metabolism. So these are a lot of things happening in the breakdown of food, and eventually, then energy comes out, and then you're able to do things. So is a cow. So is a donkey. Now, if a donkey eats whatever it's eating, I think it's eating grass or something like that, and it's not able to break that down because there's no water, it is dehydrated, the donkey will have no energy to do its job. Yes. And then, of course, that breaking down of food to produce energy, means that it's gonna be able to manufacture things that, first of all, manufacture its own food, its own body, build its own body. It cannot build its own body without water, because that's now the other side of metabolism, which is building muscles, which later on, the muscles of a cow or even a bull or a goat, later on becomes that delicious beef that we eat, and farmer's choice sausage or whatever food. So the cow, and even if it is present in a place with a lot of food, without water, that cow or that bull is going to be emaciated. And then, of course, when the butcherman comes to buy that cow, he's going to say, this cow is very poor quality, they cannot buy it. And then, of course, for customers who now customers of the butcherman, yeah, they want to get that juicy meat. Can you imagine eating steak that is not juicy? Is it steak, or is gonna be eating things like strings? Because steak is not supposed to be a cake; it's supposed to be juicy. So all that stuff, you see, it's well connected. It's fully connected in this great circle of life. So water also makes the cows and goats and other domestic animals, and even wild animals, look lovely, okay, and have healthy bodies, so that they can complete the great circle of life. So if we want to raise those cows for meat, for lunch, then we want to make sure they get sufficient water. And a cow drinks gallons of water every day. So if you have a cow and then you don't have source of water, then you know your cow is going to be emaciated, not because of lack of food, but because of lack of water, because it's not able to build its own muscles, because you need water to build muscles. That's why water is this thing that steps in every step of the way. No matter where you go, you try to move, you find water there. Then you make the next move, you find water there. And so when all these things are happening, they create something called balance. It's called the great circle of life. If you guys watch Lion King, it's Simba, the young one, the young Simba, was being trained by his father Mufasa about the great circle of life, which is now what's called the balance of nature. So water helps to maintain that balance outside the body, external milieu, the balance of nature, as it maintains the balance inside. Both inside and outside balances depend on water. Water is like this thing that helps to balance everything. So the great circle of life becomes complete. So what I found, I think 2015, I was traveling in Laikipia, northern Laikipia, western Laikipia, place like Lumuroti. And I found things that were shocking scenes, like there were zebras that were dead. Yeah, a whole zebra just collapses and dies. Because I think that was 2016. In northern Laikipia, they hadn't received rain for a while. And so the animals were just dying. And a whole animal like a zebra or even zebras and giraffes, they just collapse and die. So when you're walking around, you find dead giraffes, you find dead zebras. I've never seen anything like that. So what's happening? Yes, because in that Laikipia forest, which connects, it's there between Nyahururu, going all the way to Nanyuki. Yeah, it has passed. It's occupied by some wild animals like elephants, buffaloes, zebras, giraffes, and when there's enough water, the zebras and antelopes, like the Thompson's gazelle and saguaros, they don't have access to water, and they are driven out by the larger animals like the buffaloes and the elephants, and all they have to do is wait for the sun to beat upon them, and they die. So, and then with those animals, that's why we're talking about when there's enough water, and now animals become very aggressive, even the wild animals, because I've lived close to a forest. When there isn't sufficient water, animals go crazy. Animals behave exactly like human beings when there is scarcity of something. Water is the major source of stress for animals. It's the lack of water. When water is not sufficient, animals get dehydrated and they lose their manners and start behaving like Mr. Ruto himself. Although Ruto is not behaving like that because of lack of water. So they invade places are not theirs, and they start stealing, or even destroying things that when there's sufficient water, animals were not going to destroy anything because I think they are certain, they're sure. So I think one way to have peaceful coexistence with animals is make sure there's sufficient drinking water for the wildlife, first of all. So what was happening in Laikipia during the dry season, like you get a drought season, elephants come into people's homesteads. They're looking for water. And their elephants are very, very aggressive when they are angry. Okay. They can bring down your entire house because an elephant, you see, elephant is like a tractor. It has got more horsepower than 100 horses, or even say than say a caterpillar. And see, elephants are not like horses, which are not very smart. Elephants are super smart. You know what elephants do when they lack water? They become geniuses. So the government puts they put an electric fence around, to prevent the animals from coming into people's homes. But elephants know about electricity. That is what will be shocking to you and even to me. So what elephants would do when they are lacking water, they say, we're not going to die because of lack of water, and these human beings have got water in their tanks. So they want to invade people's places to come and drink the water there. So what do they do? Because there's electricity and electrical fence, they go and find a wooden post. Because to put a fence, you need to put a wooden, you need to put a pole. So the pole does not have electricity inside it, okay? Because the pole is dry wood, a wooden pole. So what the elephants would do is they find such a pole, and then they push it so hard until the wire snaps. They push the pole because the wire is nailed on the pole, and they don't touch the wire because the wire is live wire. It's going to kill them. But then they would push the pole very, very hard. And you see, for an elephant, very hard is just pushing a little bit. Elephant falls. So the whole thing snaps. And the entire electric system gets disconnected completely. And then they walk out through that space, all of them. Yes, how do they know? You see, some elephants are smarter than certain human beings. An elephant will tell you, this electricity does not pass through a wooden pole, and so it's going to select the wooden pole and push it out, and then it's going to create a pathway for the entire herd to get out, and then the entire herd is going to follow. They're going to follow all of them. They're going to be about 10 or 20, even sometimes up to 90 elephants walking into people's homesteads. What are they going to do? When they come to the people's homestead, they start looking for things that are there. Maybe you have created for yourself some nice living quarters, and it has got water. They will drink the water, finish all the water in the tanks. And they see they're not going to be merciful. As they're drinking that water, they're also spilling some of it. But see, they have this trunk that they can put inside, And so that's my experience with elephants of Laikipia. Supremely clever animals that even putting barriers for them is not going to stop them from going to fetch water. So the solution is not to, and you see, it's not that water is absent because nature provides enough water for all of us, is that as human beings do not harvest that water. So what would be the solution in such a place is, because it rains at least once in a while, maybe once a year, but that water, as human beings, because we are not as smart as elephants, we allow that water to run off and then goes into a river and then goes all the way to the Indian Ocean. Why? Why do that? And we can actually prevent animals, the elephants, from breaking out to come into the human habitation by just creating a huge dam that will be collecting water so that those animals can drink. See, then if there's a big dam, first of all, who would be building that dam? I don't know. Maybe the MCA or the governor of the county. Or now that you're talking about the blockchain, finding out how to use blockchain money to raise money to build such dams for wild animals. Because as you have seen, elephants are supremely aggressive and they will get their water whether you like it or not. So they're not going to allow the gazelles to come and drink the water if there's insufficient water for them. So what they do, what you have to do is that you build huge dams and which can collect water during the dry season. And then the gazelles and the zebras and the giraffes will have somewhere to drink. So are the elephants, and they live happily ever after. See, that is because that behavior that you see the elephants now, That's just elephant I told you. Now, in that Laikipia forest, the jungle itself, as well as other things like buffaloes. And when buffaloes get stressed like that, they move alone. Maybe they're not moving in a herd, they're moving alone. And wow unto you if you come across a lone buffalo, okay? Because become aggressive and it will not stop until it has killed him. Yeah, it becomes what homicidal. We call it homicidal buffaloes. And so lonely soul buffaloes, which get broken out of the herd when they stress, environmental stress, that there's insufficient water, are extremely dangerous and kill people. And so we have lots of animals like that, including ostriches. Everything gets aggressive. So naturally, when animals are happy, they have sufficient water, they are very nice. They are, and they are very cooperative, not only cooperating within it, among themselves within herd, but also they don't care. They are oblivious about the human race. They don't care. That is just the water thing. So that's why we want to make sure there's sufficient water for animals. And water is, as we say, that it's not that water is missing in life, it's there's abundance of water. It's just that we have to use it judiciously, harvest the water, create water harvesting places for the wildlife and even for the domestic animals. Similarly, when there's a drought, there isn't sufficient water, there isn't sufficient rain. It maybe rains once a year, then it takes about 9 or 10 months before you see the next raindrop. Now, forward-thinking humans who now would be smarter than elephants would build water harvesting system, like build a dam, like we've been talking about, and where for just a place for which is going to ensure there's enough water that can last at least 11 months or 12 months if there's no rain at that moment. So, but then instead of doing that, what do humans beings do? We start behaving like elephants. Not as elephants, maybe like buffaloes, let's say. Instead of building water, harvesting the water, humans take out their livestock, their cows, their sheep, and then start walking them over miles and miles to go and find out the green pastures. Yeah, because they cannot harvest their own. Instead of harvesting the water that has come, they wait for that water to disappear, and then they say we shall go to other places to look for greener pastures. See, and then we become pastoralists. That pastoralism is a denial of abundance. Then we have a nomadic lifestyle. So that type of nomadic lifestyle becomes very, very difficult in a sense of life, because when people are nomadic, they're moving all the time. They cannot offer, they are not stable in terms of other socioeconomic issues, even personal development, human development, because they are so preoccupied by looking for greener pastures. Pastures are not just green, they just have water. So it is possible to overcome that problem by creating water at home. Just dig dams, dig ditches, like Elijah said, dig ditches, and then, but if you don't dig ditches, dig the ditches. Then when the rain comes, then the water is just going to flow into the Indian Ocean, which, as we said last week, the Indian Ocean does not need any more water. That even if you dig ditches to capture all that water, it doesn't mean that the sea level is going to reduce. No, it's going to be balanced. Eventually, that water will find itself in the ocean. So that's it. And then, of course, the water itself, if you have water that is so scarce, it is also to get infected by microorganisms, microbes. Yeah, because the it becomes stagnant, low level water is not regenerative. And bacteria, viruses, they accumulate, they multiply. And that is what would kill animals. So sometimes you don't know whether these wild animals are dying because of just dehydration or because the water is so dry. I mean, the place is so dry that bacteria are multiplying inexorably. Yeah. As you said, water is sufficient to even clean up places. So if water is very, very scarce, very scanty, and the water that the elephants are trying to drink is muddy, because there isn't sufficient water to replenish everything. Then they are just like in a swamp, muddy. It's here muddy, a bog, let's say, muddy place. So they are drinking mud, which of course has got its own microorganisms, and then they die. And so in any case, water, even if it's a lot and it is polluted by human activities, as we have said, through our own whatever, human actions, like we put pesticides. And pesticides, they're supposed to be killing pests, but when they kill one pest, because you have this balance of nature, when you kill one pest, that pest is not just a pest. It helps to maintain natural balance. It must be destroying another microbe or another pest. So when that pest is killed, the one that is usually the food for that pest multiplies. Yeah, because now it has no predator. And so that breaks down the cycle of life. And then when that predator multiplies, what happens? That predator now affects the animals. And so you don't want to break the cycle of life with some what's called human ingenuity, becoming too genius for our own good. Yeah. So animals really moved by water. And you see, even the reproductive biology, you have seen what happens in Masai Mara, the Great Mara Migration. The Great Mara Migration is all about water. On one side, if they are the north side of the Mara River, they come there during the rainy season, in the Mara season, so they can have food. And then it gets dry, they have to cross the river to go to the other side and perform their mating ceremonies in Tanzania. And they have to cross the Mara River where they are being eaten by crocodiles. So water kind of moves them from northern Mara across the Mara River to the south. So these migrations that you see the animals, and it's quite possible that if there's sufficient water on the one side of Mara, so they are not expecting some dry season, they will not have to jump into the river Mara, which is full of crocodiles, to go to the other side to look for greener pastures. Okay, so that movement, that migration, that kind of nomadic lifestyle is brought about by the need to get water for life, for their own life. So it's about survival. But eventually, many of them are eaten by crocodiles in the river. Yeah, so I would say that water itself, I think what we have said is the water is important for internal ecosystem, your own internal environment, internally you, for the animals themselves. One, and also for the external environment. And animals will do anything depending now on their place in the food chain. For example, elephants are much higher than gazelles. Depending on where they are on their food chain, now the ones that are higher are going to chase away those ones that are lower in the food chain, which end up dying because of dehydration, just because they're much higher on the food chain, just if there's sufficient water. So to create peace in the animal kingdom, whether they are domestic or wild animals, to create peace, we as human beings, because we have been given the ability to think a little more than elephants. You'd say most of us, a little more than elephants. We should make water available for the animals so they can live in harmony, all of them together, even in the wildlife. Okay, so that's what we want to say. So when we are talking about now here, when we are here talking about this in blockchain, this has not been possible to do in the previous economy. Let's say we call it previous, because these occurrences are highly random, but the blockchain is the economy of randomness. So the centralized system, why wouldn't the governor of Laikipia, for example, build dams to keep elephants there? Because it's not possible to do such a thing with a centralized thinking system. Yes, but today, I think going forward, we shall be able to coordinate a decentralized financing to raise money to put up dams for animals. And then, of course, saving animals through water, creating that harmony of animal kingdom through water is a public good. Because the elephants will not be thinking about destroying the electric fence to invade human habitations. The elephant will not think about such a thing if the elephant has sufficient water. And it will not think about chasing the gazelles and the zebras away from the water holes, the watering ponds, because it has sufficient water. So, and that's what you call public good. So this is going to be possible to finance through the retroactive public good funding process. Retroactive public good. And that's why really we need to dive very deep into this mechanism of financing. For example, use Actuate token to find a retroactive public good project for building a dam for wildlife water, wildlife water catchments. You can build a dam, or maybe build a big pool, to say a watering place, so that animals don't have to struggle looking for water. But then we use retroactive public good funding on the blockchain. And I think even before December summit, we shall have figured out how to do it, because you have to select places that are very amenable to this. Yes. Now, I think the biggest question is who owns the land that's going to be occupied by the dam? You see, it doesn't have to be owned by anybody, maybe public land. But public land still has got politics, because you have to deal with the government. But local governments, the thing is mobilizing people. And I think using tokens like Actuate will be able to mobilize local people, local communities to work together to raise money to build and maintain such a dam, so that animals do not have to die just because we are not doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Okay, that's what I would say about that. Back to you, Barbara.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc, for that. And I hope we are all understanding what is trying to be said here. And thank you very much, Dennis, for the topic presentation. And I want to invite Augustine Narokwe for the summit announcements, and then we can proceed with the rest of the agenda. So, Augustine, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Good evening, everyone, and I hope you are all doing well. And thank you so much, Mr. Dennis, for that powerful presentation, and also Doc for shedding light about the topic. And I just got excited when you start talking about the nomadic people because I am a nomad. We call it nomadic sons. So the problem is not even about where the dams are available, but corruption. You can back the community, there's still corruptions. Who think that Wanjiko don't know rights For example, there's a dam which was okay, just an example of a dam because it doesn't exist. It just came, someone was given a tender to build a dam along the Apom River so that now these elephants hyenas can survive. And someone just placed a small slab, such that even the sand has, the sand came and the sand at a unicani, so you can imagine corruption.
Augustine, could you say that again? Tell us about the story of that dam. So somebody has received, they have received funding for the dam. From where the funding, from where did the funding come from?
I think, I can't trace well, but I think it's just I don't know if it's just an organization, but someone was given a tender.
This came from where? Sorry again, I can't hear you clearly. I don't know why.
I can't trace well the founder, but someone was given a tender.
A tender?
Yes, to build it. And he just did something like less than 100,000 and
did something like, I'm not, I think you're doing something less than what?
100,000. He built something less than even 90,000 and
shillings.
Yes.
And he built it with what? What was the construction?
Just the committee slab.
So he built it, and he was building a wall across a river.
Yeah.
Across a river. Okay.
Yeah. But it's not even a wall. It's just something like a small bridge that is passing. Even the sand now has already covered. You can't see. You can't see the wall right now. The sand has covered.
So this is somebody who has less intelligence than an elephant. So go on. So he I mean, he can't tell that the water is just going to run over that thing. It has to be high enough to capture all the water that's coming in. And then it has to be strong enough to make sure it does not collapse, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
so
that
now,
is
yeah, so now nothing is happening. The water is just running down the stream. And
as usual. You know that kind of thing, let's actually revisit that. Building such a thing does not even require money. It just needs the community with bags. You know those gunny bags, like what you call gunia. And then you need like thousands of those gunias, which do not cost a lot of money. You don't need to buy cement. And you fill those gunias with sand. Okay? Gunias full of sand, and then you place those sacks on top of one another to build a wall. It doesn't need cement. Maybe you can put cement between the gunias, but really just putting sand upon sand upon sand, gunias of sand. Like if you put up 1,000 gunias, you're going to build a big wall that water cannot even get through. See? I know that because, Chinga Dam, Chinga is in Odaya. That's the way Chinga Dam was built by the colonists, by the Mzungu. Yeah, but when it comes to us as the Africans, we cannot build something like that because it's about money. It's not about money. So what that guy did, who was the district commissioner of Nyeri, was during the colonial era, he mobilized local people. Even there's no sand in Chinga. What he did was to get people, ordinary people, folks, give them a lot of gunias, lots of gunias, a lot of sacks. And they brought the gunias and filling them with soil. And those gunias full of soil is what's called Chinga Dam today. That Chinga Dam is very, very big. It's like a big lake, just on the slopes of the Abadeas in Chinga location in Odaya. So it's really not money. And we are saying that today, with with something like Actuate token, you can incentivize people by giving them tokens. Because when we come to this level, that everyone, first of all, we have to buy the gunias themselves. Say, supposing you have 1,000 gunias, and everyone fills a gunia full of sand, and you can give them a challenge. If you have maybe 100 families, each family fills 10 gunias. That's 1,000 gunias. That is quite easily done. See, then you have the entire community participating. I think the tragic way we are doing the decentralized economy, as you have said, Augustine, is that one person was given a tender to do that project. You see that problem with centralization, that someone is a single individual who was given that tender, when it is not a problem of the individual. Water is a community problem, it's public good. Okay. And these are the things we want to think about. First of all, identify what causes such projects to fail. Is because we're thinking that it is only one human being who can do it. But then when you have very, very many people, like 1,000 people living in one community, how can you bring them together except if you have a substrate for community organization? This means that you're only able to mobilize people at the community level through the blockchain, because they can have tokens, and these tokens become the stickiness factor, the things that help that people to stick together, and they get rewarded for participating in such a thing. Yeah. So this is what you have to do. And I'm thinking this whole of next year, we're going to have some very good work doing that. This because water is a public good. And that's when you're going to employ the retroactive public good funding mechanism, using the token to mobilize people to participate in building those dams. And that is not the work of one individual receiving a tender. And of course, an individual like that does not have sufficient knowledge that an elephant will be much smarter, because that kind of wall he's building will be brought down, not even by an elephant, which can find out, but just the water itself will just come and remove the wall. But imagine if you had 1,000 people, even say 100 people, working together to fill sand in the gunias. And you see, this work does not take people away from their daily job. Okay, they are doing the work. They are doing the thing they do during the day. They just participate in putting sand in sacks, and then they come and put those sacks along the river, across the river, and that's what's gonna create a dam. Yeah. So we're going to do that. That's a great example you've told us. And I didn't know why those projects are failing. It's because we are trusting one person. That's the centralized system. Centralizing, I think you could say centralizing the innovation, where innovation itself is decentralized. Okay. All right, go on, Augustine. I thought that this is a good example.
Yeah.
Any other insight from such projects?
I think about the dams. Not really.
Yeah, to give you an example, what I found in the United States was quite astounding. You know a place called Las Vegas, which is called the Sin City?
Yeah.
Sin City, Las Vegas, is built in a desert, but Las Vegas has more water than Boston. There's more water, water everywhere in Las Vegas. Where does that water come from? So, long time ago, a very insightful guy called Hoover, President Hoover, he built a dam across the Colorado River. This river flows all the way from Seattle on the side of Canada and it comes down through the Rocky Mountains. You know, when you have the Grand Canyon, you know, it comes down there, and then it comes all the way down. It is going down to the Gulf of Mexico. It's almost like the Mississippi of the West. Okay, that river is highly unnavigable because it moves through lots of mountains. But those mountains have got deep valleys and valleys and blacks and so what he did, President Hoover, was to create a big wall somewhere between Arizona and between Phoenix and what's called Las Vegas now. So the dam is known as Hoover Dam, and I would like all of you guys to go and look at Hoover Dam. That Hoover Dam stops the flow of water of that Lake Colorado, and the water now it became a huge lake known as Lake Mead. Okay, now that's one thing. So that Lake Mead supplies water to Las Vegas. That place is supremely beautiful. You could say it's like a wonder of the world because that project is very, very huge. And then because of that Lake Mead, then they were able to build canals that come from that lake and go all the way to the central basin in California. California was dry like a cake. It was dry, dry, dry. There was nothing coming out of California. Okay, so 1960s, 1950s, they spent a lot of time building canals. And then so water is raining, coming out from the northern side of Seattle, flowing down the river, but then that water comes into Lake Mead and then it's diverted towards Central California, all the way to Los Angeles. Yeah, that place used to be a dry basin, and so it was called Central Basin, which nothing grew. Now, if you go to that Central Valley in California, you will be shocked the kind of agriculture going there. Thousands upon thousands of acres of fruit plantations. They have oranges, they have peaches. I mean, I think some people have got something like 1 million acres. Yes, and you have all kinds of things, agriculture. So the US used to rely on food like that coming from the East Coast, which was seasonal because we get bad weather, winter. But now California is sunny the whole time. Okay, there's no winter there, and there's this water coming from irrigation channels, and becomes a very huge irrigation project that they were able to irrigate millions upon millions of acres between Los Angeles and San Francisco. That place, like it's like an eighth wonder of the world. Like, how did agriculture happen there? So they were able to grow orchards. I mean, let's say, what do you call them? Grapes. So the wine industry, you see, before that, all wine used to come from France. So, but then because of all the grape farming in Central California, in 1,000 upon 1,000 of acres of grapevines, now they built a whole wine industry that they took over the wine business from France to California wine. So then what happened? What else happened? Animals. They used to be nomadic. Even animals could not survive a day there because it was very dry. But now, because they have water on a constant basis, water is there throughout. Of course, there's enough sunshine. These guys produce all the milk that is used in the United States, because cows can live very happily under the sun, but with enough water. And then they have all the chicken, all the pigs. So a place that was dry, a place of desolation, you could say, because it was a desert, became the most productive place in this whole world. They produce more food than even Americans can eat. and then they export that food, and then they process that food to all kinds of things. So why did that happen? Was it, first of all, there was president who was very insightful. They would say like President Ruta. That happened during the centralized economy. But without, we eventually decided to invest their money the right way to build a very big dam called the Hoover Dam. Now, Hoover Dam, not only does it produce enough water for agriculture and livestock, it's also a whole new climatic ecosystem happened, and California became one of the richest states. And that's where companies like Google are in San Francisco, companies like Facebook. Yeah, because people are living there on this, you could say, artificial created system of water that was not there before President Hoover came along. And then someplace like Las Vegas, which is like a water city. Las Vegas has more water even than Boston itself, which receives rainfall almost every day. But that water, even buildings, because I think they are very proud of their water. We put buildings with water coming from the top of the building, and even the theaters, if you go to the shows, it's just amazing. And they have forests inside buildings in Las Vegas, just to make a point. Yeah. If you go to the theater, like in the Wayne building, the Wayne Theater itself, you will see it has a forest inside, like a tropical rain forest inside the building. Where is all that water coming from? Is that ingenious project by President Hoover and his people. So that was possible because these guys are very organized. But I think with the decentralized finance, we can create situations like Las Vegas. The only thing we're going to remove from the whole equation is the sinfulness of Las Vegas. You know, because Las Vegas, you see, there's all this water that we're getting. What are we going to do? We're going to create entertainment. What is entertainment? You see, all the lascivious things people can do, they come to Las Vegas to do them, and they can have as much water as they want when they're having fun in the desert. So I think if I place like Dubai, because Dubai right now has got more water than places like Paris. Where does Dubai get water from? It's the same thing, that water is sufficient. They just need to figure out how to capture it and put it into where it is needed. So besides the water itself, the Hoover Dam became a source of energy, electricity. See, all the electricity that is used in Las Vegas, and I can tell you, Las Vegas, because it is an entertainment city, they need more electricity than almost the whole country of Kenya. Okay. And then they also supply electricity to places like Southern California towns, such as what? Such as Los Angeles, which is, yeah, and then going northwards to San Francisco. So the Hoover Dam itself becomes a source of not only water for food, for livestock, for animals, even the wildlife, and then also for energy, electricity. And then, of course, the tourism. People go there for boating and doing all those type of vacation things that people do. And then people just go there to look at that place, just to see it, Yeah. I did go there myself to see all those wonders. Whoa, oh my goodness, how did they guys do that? Because if we get organized, then it's going to be possible. It is possible to build a dam like that. So Hoover Dam collects all the water that used to go to the ocean into the Gulf of Mexico, but the water still ends up in Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico never complained one day. Nobody came and saw Gulf of Mexico complaining and saying, oh my goodness, these people built a dam, so I don't have water. They're sending all the water to California for irrigation, the Central Basin. Eventually, after that water irrigates the plants and the animals, it eventually finds its way to the Gulf of Mexico. See? So water is never lost. It's still going to find its way where it was going, whether we stop it or not. So we should not be afraid of stopping the water from going where it's going. Or we should say, can we use this water before it ends up in the ocean? Okay. Anyway, that's a story. I think we want to learn from and see how we can build that. If they could build a desert to become an a very highly intensive agricultural place, then we should do the same for a place like northeastern Kenya, or even a place like Laikipia, where you get occasional dryness that kills zebras and giraffes and such animals. Okay, back to you, Augustine. Well, we are talking about the stomach.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, we are organizing a summit this coming December, from 3rd to 6th, and it will be at Kenyatta University. The title is the Actuate Prepares to Nairobi Summit, and the theme is how we can use AI, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and DeFi, decentralized finance mechanisms on blockchain to improve health and human development. And this summit is aiming to bring together various stakeholders again to have a conversation on how we can just create a condition of a more equitable and even brighter future. And now, I would love to just talk about December Friday, 6th. That is when we will have water. Water that will be around from morning up to afternoon, Friday, 6th, December 2024. That's the last day, right? Yes. And we're going to have, first of all, of course, keynote speeches, plenary sessions, and we all know that there is poster presentation opportunity or chance for us learners, students. And at 10 a.m. up to 10:30, that is when we will have a poster presentation, basically posters revolving around water. So we can leverage these technologies to our water projects. And after that, I think around 1 p.m. again to 2 p.m. after lunch, we'll have again poster presentation. So what am I saying is, let's start working right now. This is an opportunity for you. Start thinking about how we can leverage these technologies to improve to enhance water activities or projects. You have had a lot of things facing water, a lot of challenges are facing water. So take your time and submit your abstract on how we can use these technologies to improve projects. The other thing we're going to have is water workshops, whereby people will get to learn, acquire knowledge, and practical skills in various ways or various subjects. And also exhibition for people having organizations having products or services revolving around water. Now, those of you who are here, I think you love water. Leading debate and others. Let's move. There's so many stakeholders we can invite to come speak about water. Starting from the government agencies, going outside to international bodies like UNEP, even FAO, stakeholders like even banks, even commercial banks, they know the value of water. So we have very potential stakeholders coming from water sector, and we need to focus. We need to be very much intentional in getting them as either exhibitors or sponsors and even attendees. Speakers don't pay. Exhibition is the one which is going at $1,000. Attendees also $150. And now you can come as sponsors. And we have several packages, starting with Diamonds package, which is going at $10,000. Coming to Platinum, which is going at $7,500. Coming to Gold, which is going at $5,000. And then now Silver, which is going at $3,000, and Bronze package. And you know what? We can't forget total sponsorship package, which is $100,000. A lot of people, Coca-Cola, we have great people. So I just want, again, we will never fade reminding you about the summit and how you can be part of it. So seize this opportunity, let's always be intentional and get these people to come, because they don't know how, they can't know to communicate. So let's communicate. Let's be champions of this event. Let's spread the word. And we all know, I don't have to repeat about the 5% commission to sell in package. And water is so broad. Can you just focus on water? You think of tea, there's water. You think of food, there's water. You think of there's water. Even in the car, there's water. Even car engine has water. So you can't miss. So let's move together. We are moving very well. And the summit is really coming. We've started early and we are having the progress. God is blessing. So that is just that for today. Back to you, Babdu. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, back to you.
So thank you, Augustine, for that. And I think up to that point, we are going to adjourn the meeting. Until next time and same link. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. The meeting is adjourned.